Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day like we are. And I say we collectively as a community, we've been doing pretty well. Secured some monster profits yesterday on Solana, Dogecoin, and Bitcoin. But when we take a look here at the charts, we can see this local fair value gap's already gotten filled. The price is ready to take off, and this is a pretty bullish type of pattern. Now, again, taking a long at the top can be very challenging, very difficult, maybe not the best call ever, but Bitcoin is in all-time high territory. If it can maintain that 74K range, I think a lot of alts are going to continue higher. So let's take a look at a few other things here, kind of clean up the charts and go from there. If you are new to the channel, just want to say thanks again so much for being an awesome part of my life. If you've been watching for a while, even more of a thank you. Deeply appreciate that. And again, it's just a phenomenal experience, I can tell you, just being able to work with some awesome traders and just in general being a good, hopefully influential, positive part of your life. So thanks again for the kudos to my community. We celebrated pretty hard last night. Solana 47%, all take profit targets achieved. That was a 4-day-old trade, but Dogecoin, 8 hours, 66%, Bitcoin 42% in 10 hours. And then we had a second Dogecoin long that hit 79% in 1.2 days, or sorry, 1.5 days rather. Okay, so awesome stuff. Congrats again to our committee for that. Let's take a look at liquidation for Solana, because there wasn't like a ton of liquidation in the upside, honestly, at least leading into this. At least, you know, you didn't expect it to get hit, rather, because we were in like the low 170s or 160s, upper 160s when everything went crazy, right? And we take a look here, we can see it's a little easier to see on the macro. 1, 2, 3, maybe about 3 billion in liquidation at 185. They got swept pretty hard. That was our take profit target, I think 184.50, just below that 185 threshold. Because generally speaking, when I set profit targets, I get the question a lot, where do you want to put those? Usually you put them just below or above a local high, or just an area of retracement. And 184, that 184 and 185 range was that area. So make sure you're not using like a round number at like a key level, like 70,000 for example for Bitcoin, because then you're not going to get filled. You're in line with a million other people. Instead, 69,999, you'll have a better chance at that. Okay. Anyways, that's just kind of an example, but there are some late shorts here we can see starting to fill up. But I think the liquidation delta is going to be more long bias, which it is. We're at about 1 billion in longs, which is quite high for Solana. Honestly, that's actually a lot compared to what we've seen not only in the recent past, but just in general. So that leads me to believe a pullback may happen, but I think Bitcoin needs to lose 74K to see that happen first. And when I say a pullback, there's a pretty significant fair value gap on the 4-hour time frame. That candle wicked up way too fast, and it would make sense for the price to inevitably make its way back down. So let's not be naive to the fact that Solana's just going to the moon. While it's definitely probable, there's still a lot of little barriers to success, all right? Looking here at open interest, most folks are interesting. This is actually funny. Coincidentally, it's interesting and it's open interest. When we take a look here, we can see 181 is that most amount of interest here for Solana. So a lot of folks are heavy at 181, secondary to that 184, and then tertiary is 187. So you can see people are averaging pretty heavy in the 180s. So let's take a look at the daily time frame, kind of see what's going on. Back end data here. Let's look at the daily. We already looked at the back end rather. Let's look at the daily time frame here and just recognize that we do have some liquidation or liquidity up here still left upwards about 195. Again, that goes back a ways from this previous candle wick that was essentially unfilled. So it's similar to a fair value gap, liquidity or liquidation essentially. It's all kind of in the same ballpark. We already know that because there are some late shorts, but there's also some previous shorts here as well with just a liquidity grab. So I would say 193, 192 would be a sensible place to consider take profit target if you're in a long right now, just based on that local high metric. Again, more so you're likely to see a retest of previous highs when you're this close. And when you do, the likelihood of the price going up to that level and rejecting the first time is quite high. It's rare for it just to blast straight through a key level, I wouldn't say key level resistance, but a strong resistance more locally. That was back in August, by the way. So let's take a look here. We're above all moving averages, great. Over 50 on the RSI, check. MACD is soon to converge, almost there, which is also good. Stochastic swinging up. Money flow index, it bounced and pivoted essentially and increasing again here. So that is awesome, okay? Money's flowing into the coin. There's no reason to consider shorting. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. Now, you could look at the 4-hour time frame and see this magnificent fair value gap that still has yet to be filled. So could we see 167 again? Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. Is that going to happen right now? Probably not. I think Bitcoin needs to lose its all-time high in order for that to happen, okay? So there's a handful of things that need to occur between now and then, but it's safe to presume this area will get filled at some point. Smaller fair value gaps can go unnoticed, but larger ones like this with a magnificent, I said that twice already, with a lot of profit left, a lot of meat left on the bone. How do you think, do you think those dogs are just going to leave it alone? They're just going to, smell that meat and not eat it, right? Again, that's a terrible analogy, but the concept reigns true. Profits need to be taken at some point, and there's a significant amount of profit left to be secured here. So, hypothetically, that was us pumping the volume up yesterday, which is less likely. We're a small part of that. If it's market makers, they're going to right that wrong, if you will. So just know that exists. I'm not trying to scare you and concern you, but that's literally a realistic thing. For right now, we're over 70 on the RSI. We have nothing to worry about. Price is more likely to go up than down. Bitcoin's exuding the same exact behavior. Look at RSI on Bitcoin, roughly the same. That's a good sign. Okay, it really just implies that yes, it's overextended, but we also blasted straight through that resistance threshold, and the likelihood of retesting that as a support is quite high, i.e. 73,900 for Bitcoin and what was it, 185 for Solana. Okay, so maintaining 185 or higher is a good thing to be mindful of. Because again, this level here isn't just an arbitrary line on the chart. That's a previous daily candlestick closure. That was a range that we had a lot of difficulty getting across. Look at this here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times to break 185 and hasn't, or couldn't rather. That was once again back in late July, early August. But if you look at it now, we're above it for now, but we haven't closed above it. There's still 7 hours left in the candle. That's why waiting 24 hours to allow the price action to stay in that range or go higher is beneficial when taking a long or trying to consider a long right now, because that is a specific resistance. Exactly the reason why we took and secured all of our profits at that upper 184 range, right? Just below that key level. Okay, so we can check off the board. Every time frame is fully bullish. There's no other way around it. The likelihood of that remaining true is high, right? We're probably going to see the price action continue higher, and there's a distinct probability at this point. Ichimoku Cloud confirms that we're still in great shape on every single stretch here. So every single thing that you look at for a confirming factor on this is going to let us know we're in good shape. The only thing that's kind of a caveat is, again, that fair value gap and the fact that this is new all-time high territory. Bitcoin has notoriously reached all-time high territory and just pulled back in almost instantly. Okay, so we're going to have to see how this treats us first. A lot of times it requires patience, which I know is not a strong suit for most traders. So I'm kind of sitting on the sidelines here. I think if Bitcoin can maintain 74K today, it may be worthwhile considering a long position to that 75.5, that local resistance. But that does exclude Solana in a way, but also compares it to, in the sense that Solana is more likely to go up with Bitcoin. But if you look at Bitcoin's chart and Solana's chart, they're very similar. Only difference is Solana's making higher highs and Bitcoin is not. So that tells you anything. That implies Solana is more likely to break out before Bitcoin. Okay, so that's a good sign. So hypothetically, you're going to take a long with Solana. Watch it close, but I think you're probably more likely to see a breakout pending Bitcoin doesn't leave 74K. And if so, make sure you set some realistic stop losses. Don't get too greedy in this market, folks. It's important to not get too crazy. Okay. All right, folks. I'll post a playout chart here soon on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, of course. That I usually drop that before the video uploads, obviously, so you'll see that it'll be available for you regardless. But I do want to say thanks again to everybody for just being an awesome part of my life. Congrats to all those community members who are doing well with our trading competition / collective prize pool through Bitunix. That's all linked down below. Check that out. It's really cool. Otherwise, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Really appreciate your time. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Y'all have a good one. Take care.